Buenísimo, que lo que mi gente. Welcome to my universe. Welcome back to my universe. This is Starlini speaking, pero ya tú sabes. Welcome to another episode of the Things I Never Said podcast. So I have a little poll for you all today. I also want to say bienvenidos a mi canal. Welcome to my channel to all of the newbies. I see that there are more people commenting just on some of my videos. And then I also see that there are plenty new subscribers over here. Bienvenidos. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I don't know that you all will be staying for a while, but vamos a ver, we'll see. But I have a poll here because I've given this topic so much thought. So off the top of my head, I just want to throw a few things out there, and I want to know which issue that I'm going to bring up that you think plagues the society that we live in the most. I want you to tell me, of the issues that I list, which one is the biggest problem or the most apparent problem in your eyes. I think that that would be an interesting discussion. And as long as you're respectful in my comment section, then YouTube won't automatically delete your comments. I do not see most of the comments that are left on my channel because YouTube deletes them or they just disappear somehow, some way by the time I go see them. So yeah, um, I believe the title of this video is something along the lines of the what is the problem with men today or men in today's society. It's going to be something to that effect. But I just wanted to throw out a few things, okay? So, and I do mean this with as much respect as possible. I'm not here to bash men, but I'm here to say what I have observed and what I see with my own eyes and in my own experiences and that of other experiences that I witnessed. So, yeah, I do this with respect, okay? But see, I think that for starters, the problem with men in today's society, from what I have gathered and what I have seen, is that men do not want to be men. That is just a simple way to place it. Men do not want to be men. Men want, first of all, it seems like men are more feminine than ever. And I wasn't here 50 years ago, okay? I wasn't even here 25 years ago. But I can say that the rhetoric that I see being normalized in our society is one that says, men, let the woman take the lead. You sit down and you do nothing. You paint your nails and you reject all your children and you go be reckless out in the streets and have this baby with this woman and this woman and that woman. And it's okay because that woman is going to step up. And it has been noted in several studies already and articles as well and polls as well and history books as well that in the Black American household in particular, the women have had the lead. The women have been taking the lead for decades. I would say probably centuries as well, because obviously the women were not protected by the men on the plantation. I understand that there were many restrictions and limitations on the Black man based on his psyche, because obviously it wasn't a physical thing. Obviously the Black man or the African man was seen as more dominant and more strong initially, right? But obviously somewhere along the lines, the oppressor, the colonizer, the conquistador got into the male psyche and convinced these men that they were useless and that they were just meant to be bent over, which is exactly what white men did to them, and probably white women too. These men were sodomized, these men were brutalized, and these men were made weak over time. Somehow, some way, the women turned out to be stronger. It wasn't Harold Tubman that freed many of the enslaved African people. It was Harriet. It wasn't a man, it was a woman. So, I mean, I think that that speaks volumes to how long and how much of the time Black American women, aka African American women, African women to be specific, have had to take the lead and take care of their children as well as take care of their men as if they were the children. And it's quite sad. You don't see that in many other races and ethnic groups in our society, but you do see that as a prevalent issue when it comes to Black American dynamics. And, I just think that that speaks volumes to the world that we live in today. But yes, I would say men do not want to be faithful, okay? Men do not want to be providers. They do not want to be protectors. Listen to the rhetoric that you hear coming out of the mouths of these boys. They're certainly not men, in my opinion. They are boys. I don't care how old they are boys, they are children. especially listening to the way they talk. I don't remember the gentleman's name, but the dude with the headband and the glasses, who sat on a panel and told a woman that everything that she can do for him is a service that he can pay for. That is the language of a man who, first of all, people were saying he's probably not heterosexual, and I think that that's possible. But larger than that, that is the language of a boy, a guy who doesn't know the value of a woman. There are heterosexual, real men out here who will gladly pay for a woman to accompany him to a restaurant because he basks, okay? He basks in the company of a woman. A woman, okay? He basks in the company of a woman. He loves to have the woman next to him. And you tell me that a woman is something you can pay for, eh? You can pay for her to suck your dick. You can pay for her to rub your back. But you cannot pay for her to love you, okay? You cannot pay for her loyalty. You cannot pay for those things. You cannot pay for loyalty. You cannot pay for her support. You can't pay for anything that's genuine and real, like integrity and dignity. Y'all be talking all this stuff. Oh, I want a ride or die female. That escort is not riding and dying for you. The prostitute is not riding and dying for your head ass, okay? She's there to get her bread, there to give you the booty, and she's going to leave. And a woman shouldn't even have to ride and die for you. But it's just amazing how men who don't want to step up to the plate still have that mentality. But I'll get to that in a little bit. The number one problem that I think plagues men today is the fact that they don't want to be men. They don't want to be loyal. They don't want to be faithful. They want to have children with every different woman out there that they come across. And it's really bizarre to me. They don't understand the foundation or the framework of a family dynamic. You cannot be a present father or a good father when you have to be in 5 different homes all throughout the day or every week just because you have too many children and there's only one of you. That's not hard to comprehend. But you have men who will act like it is. You have men who will turn a blind eye when they see that their own counterparts, or not their counterparts, that their homeboys, okay, their brothers, okay, are not doing what they're supposed to be doing for their families or for their children. And that brings me to my next point. Men do not correct each other. Men do not, they protect each other. They don't correct each other, they protect each other. Okay? So one example is if you were unfortunate enough to have to grow up in a space where men would stand outside of the stores, they would stand outside of the corner stores, they would stand outside of the barbershops or sit outside the barbershops and just watch the young girls from the high school walk past and sometimes say provocative, inappropriate things to us, right? And what I noticed when these kinds of things would happen to me and happen to my sisters is that there were always other men sitting right next to that man, and these men would say nothing to him. So when the guy's like, oh, come in here, little baby, come over here and go to the corner store and give me a little candy. I'll get you a little some candy too. I'll give you a little $5. You go get yourself some little candy, girl. Give me a little some candy with your sweet self. Come give me a little candy bar, a little chocolate bar. When they would sit there and talk that nastiness and that foolishness to us and embarrass themselves, okay? Their homeboys, their brothers, their friends would just laugh or say nothing. Or they'd be like, oh, me too, give me one too, girl. Make sure you bend over and grab something real high up there, real low up there for me. Like, really? That's why y'all are such a shame and a menace to society. That is why. It's one example, at least. Because when you see something foul like that, you're supposed to say, man, that girl is young enough to be your goddaughter. Leave her alone. You're supposed to check each other. Let's go to Future real quick, because Sir Future has about, I don't know, 10, 11, 13 kids right now. And he has all these different baby mothers and what have you, right? And probably some more on the way, possibly. And I think it's very interesting that despite that embarrassment, you still have all of these black men in particular. You have biracial Sir Drake, Sir Drake, who still enables this man. Y'all helped fill his pockets doing features and albums and songs with him. Drake did an entire album with Future. I didn't listen to it. I think it was called What a Time to Be Alive or something like that. He did an entire album with this absent father. That's what he did. You do an entire album. And I just think that speaks volumes to what is wrong with men in our society. They do not check one another. And when a woman comes out to say the issues that she has, oh, it's, oh, shut the fuck up. Oh, bitch, why are you talking? Shut your fucking mouth up, bitch. You know, it's just so interesting to me. Because if y'all won't check yourselves and y'all don't listen when women try to tell you what's going on, how are you supposed to evolve? How are you supposed to change? How is your community supposed to improve? How are your children supposed to thrive? How do you expect to preserve your race or your culture when nobody can tell you about it? You don't want to listen to no one. It's crazy. Están locos, estúpidos, pinche pendejos, estúpidos. It makes no damn sense. It makes no sense to me at all. When men say some foul stuff, or when men do foul things, when your homeboy is an assailant and you know it. You know, let's talk about R. Kelly. R. Kelly didn't do what he did to all of these young girls and to these low self-esteem having women by himself. He got into the heads of so many people and so many young girls and had these women and these girls doing disgusting things to one another and accepting and enduring disgusting actions from him. And all of these people sat around and enabled him, and a lot of them were men. A lot of these people that enabled this man were men. They knew what was going on. Didn't his family come out and say that they saw him engaged in sexual acts with young Aaliyah? Didn't his family come out and say that as well to a certain blogger, to certain news outlets as well? People saw all this, and now when it's time to collect the check, that's when people want to speak up about it. Well, it's too late. It's too late. You're already a disappointment and a menace to society. It's too late. You were supposed to say something when the time was right. When it comes to Charlemagne, right? Didn't what's that man's name? The old man Ebro. Didn't old man Ebro say in an audio on his show that he had receipts or information about Miss Jessica Reed and he sat on it for an entire year? Pathetic. That is disgusting. You sit on a piece of audio concerning a girl who's been assaulted by someone who is in the same profession as you. You have the platform and the power to bring attention to it, and you choose not to. And you think you deserve respect as a man. You think you're a man. You think that makes you a man. You chose to be silent. We're in a patriarchal society where your voice is louder. It doesn't matter how weak you are. It doesn't matter how pitiful you are. Your voice is still louder. Your voice is amplified by your brothers. And instead of using that voice to call for correction in this, Lord, in this shameful society that we live in, you decide to take your hands to throw the paperwork away or whatever receipts that you have, and you sit on them and you shut your mouth and you do nothing. Men do not correct one another. That is the problem. All it takes is for a man to say, hey man, this ain't right. Hey man, you need to fall back, or however y'all like to talk to one another. When that football player, I think his name, I don't know who he is. I don't know if he's football, basketball, baseball, whoever, but his name is like Gilbert Arenas or something like that. If it's not, I apologize. All commentary is alleged anyway. But I believe his name was like Gilbert Arenas. Lovely T did a video about this years ago. He has attacked Lupita Nyong'o and her darker skin complexion several times, as if he's not a brown-skinned man himself, I believe. And he has attacked her several times. Other quote-unquote celebrities, other quote-unquote black men have attacked this woman's dark brown skin several times. You know, because they bathe in self-loathing or self-hatred for fun. They bathe in it. They wash themselves with it. They wash their ass with it, eh? Wash their ass. But this man attacked this woman for her physical appearance several times. And did you see a slew of Black American men come out and say, what is your problem? Did you say, hey man, that woman looks like your mother, cool it? Did any of y'all say anything? But then when Sir Kodak Black mentioned that he wanted to do some things and try to get with Miss Lauren London after Nipsey Hussle or whoever passed away, y'all seem to be very outraged about that. Oh, let's protect the light brown skin girl. Let's come to the defense of this light brown skin girl, which in reality was just because of her connection to Nipsey Hussle. They saw her as Nipsey's property. That's why they said something about Kodak Black. That's what these men are so trash. Okay? They are so trash. It's so disgusting. They're an embarrassment. This is why you have the rhetoric that you find on YouTube of women going in, calling them all kinds of dusties and trash bags and bussies and all this kind of really embarrassing, inappropriate stuff. But this is where the rhetoric comes from. Y'all are shameful. Not all, but too damn many of you are shameful. Shameful. You're silent in the moments where you need to stand up, and then you think that makes you a man. You think you actually deserve to be considered a man just because you aged up a little bit. Ya cállate a la verga, pinche pendejo estúpido. The next one is men are enabled by women who are just as disheveled as them. That is a huge problem in our society, and it's on both sides. But the man is supposed to be the leader, right? He's supposed to be the stronger one, right? He's supposed to be the provider and the protector, right? He's supposed to have his head screwed on, right? Right? But men allow themselves to get in proximity with women who are just as toxic and messed up. When they come into a fortune, like let's take Drake for an example, since I already mentioned him. Drake is able to live comfortably in his house on the bridal path, right? And you could say he lives like a king. But where is his queen? He goes into the slums of strip clubs, and he goes into I don't know, maybe brothels. He goes into I'm trying to be respectful, but he goes to the most questionable, let's just say questionable places to find himself a woman. What did he say? Thick bitches, how they talk me out of $4,000 or whatever. What didn't he say that in one of his songs? He goes to find thick bitches, right? He doesn't go to find women. He doesn't go to find respectable women. He doesn't go to find women who are building something for themselves or even just interested in being a homemaker and a great companion and a mother to his children. He didn't decide to go look for that. He decided to go over to, what was it, France? And get a former adult porn star pregnant, or an adult film star, excuse me. He decided to get a former porn star pregnant, and then once the world found out about her, he decided to clean up her image, allegedly, and now her Instagram looks a lot different than it did before, as if the videos of her aren't still available, as if their son can't one day go see those videos of her. How sad. And he said, oh, I wasn't hiding I wasn't hiding my child from the world. I wasn't hiding the world from my child. Whatever he said. Yes, you were. Because if you were proud of the woman that you got pregnant, if you were proud of the way that your child came about, then everybody would have heard about it. What did he do at the house? He showed off the house. There was nothing but damn dirt on the damn ground. There was nothing but, the initial draft of the construction of the home. And everybody knew what it looked like. For the entire process, he let the world be privy to that. When it comes to the child, he was very hush-hush about it, and he didn't even think that the child was his. How shameful is that? This is the kind of man that we're supposed to praise and see as, the ideal man, right? Oh, he's at the top. He's the GOAT. I'm the Capricorn, but he's the GOAT. Okay. But he's at the top. Let's say he's the GOAT, right? He's the GOAT. But look at who the GOAT chooses to be his woman and to bear his child. Look at who he chooses. So what does that tell you about men? All that money, and they act so reckless. All that money, all these possessions, but they don't go find a quote unquote queen to establish a business with, or a family with, which essentially is a business. They don't do that. They go to the strip clubs, they go to brothels, they go find porn stars, and they go to escort websites. They reference what did he say? He likes Evil Angel or something like that. He likes how they give it or something like that. That's what he said in the song Final Fantasy. He said, I never talk about that I want to give you or places I want to get to. Yeah, listen to that stuff. Read the lyrics if you want to. He tells on himself all the time. And it just goes to show that he's not evolved in his manhood as much as he may portray himself to. At least that's my analysis. That's what I have noticed. They're enabled and they align themselves with women who at one point in time were considered like the bottom of the barrel, you know? They were considered the bottom of the barrel. And I'm not saying that these women are absolute trash and bottom of the barrel because they're strippers. But what I will say is there are certain types of women and girls who find themselves in the strip club, okay? There are some women out here who would rather work 3 jobs, right? And be respected than to be on a pole shaking ass for $5 and some change, because of the fact that we are smart enough to know men do not respect you when you become a pass around. Men do not respect you. If you go look up the tweets between Johnny Blaze and Mr. Drake, he mentions to her, if these are, valid tweets or valid messages, of course, he says to her, he says, so you don't want to be seen with me or something like that. He said, I heard all day about all the guys that you effed, and I still stood up with you. I still stood up with you. I still stood beside you. If you go search up those messages, you can see that for yourself. So notice how like these guys will get themselves acquainted with these strippers, which Johnny Blaze was at some point in time. And obviously, like if you read a little bit about where she comes from, she had a very disturbing upbringing. This girl is troubled. A lot of these women who find themselves in strip clubs and stuff, they are troubled. They've been assaulted. They've engaged in prostitution. And the only thing they know how to do is go make a quick buck by laying on their backs. And that's what they continue to do. And those are the women that the men pry on. They go to the strip clubs. They go find some broken girl with a bunch of issues. Not that we all aren't suffering for something, but for some of us, we compartmentalize our suffering differently. Okay, we allow ourselves to be spearheaded by something other than our sorrow. But it's these girls' sorrow that gets them hooked onto drugs and hooked onto that strip club atmosphere, where the only type of validation they get in their lives on a day-to-day basis is when they're bent over, asshole up, getting slapped around and getting pushed around and rubbed on by dirty dick having men. No offense, excuse me, but it is true. And it's disgusting. Furthermore, I would say lastly that men value the brotherhood over womanhood in this life. And that's a problem to me. That is a big problem, because unless you're homosexual, you're not laying down with your brothers. Unless you're disturbed, you're not laying down with your brothers. But men would rather protect the brotherhood that they have amongst some dudes that they're afraid to outgrow in the first place, rather than prioritize a woman. It is a woman who is going to carry your child and be the reason you're able to preserve your race, your heritage, your lineage, and pass that down to the next generation. For crying out loud, these women get married and they take your name. Makes no sense to me. I carried the child. My name should go first. I don't care. My name should go first. I carried the child. I'm forced to deal with this child and live with this child. You get to leave during that 9-month period and afterwards. But these women in this society that we live in, they take on your last name when they get married. They give your son your last name, even when you decide to be an absentee father. They give you all this respect and all this honor, and you shit on them, okay? Like the IG models who go over to Dubai and get shat on. Y'all shit on these women. You do not value them. That's why you get behind the mic and you rap about bitches and hoes as opposed to women and ladies. Y'all do not value these women. That's why you don't protect them. It all goes back to the very first point that I made. Men do not protect women. They are not faithful to women. They do not value women. They're not loyal to them. They don't want to provide for them. They want to sit on a panel and complain about having to buy you a meal. But then later on at night, they want you to suck him dry, right? They want you to suck them dry. They want you to scratch their back and put a warm blanket over them when they're curled in fetal position after you just bent over for them. They didn't last nothing but no damn 2 minutes, but they still want you to come back to them. You could be bouncing on this and bouncing on that and getting all the pleasure that you would like. Like they go around and get all the pleasure that they want. But you sit there and you be loyal to them. You give them a child. You give them your companionship. Men are nothing without women. We know that. You give them all of your being as a woman, only for them to put their quote unquote brothers over you. Only for them to be so afraid of outgrowing their brothers and outgrowing people that they need to separate themselves from. Only for them to keep putting themselves around cheaters and liars and scammers as if that's not going to one day affect him and then affect you and affect your children when he gets involved in the wrong things. Going back to the third point that I made, women need to stop enabling these men. Because as trash as we can say some men really are, if you just read the news, if you just, I don't know, talk to people about their experiences, you can see some of these men are absolutely trash. They are. They're disappointments to society. Women and children are afraid and incapable of just passing through the streets because of men. It's not because of other women. It's not other women who are talking about some kill him, pull up on that motherfucker, make him drop, bodies roll. No, it's not women who are talking like that up until recently. You know, there are some rappers now who talk that shit and it makes no sense. But it's not really women that we see doing that kind of stuff. It's men. It's men who use women to lure people into their trafficking rings, into their crack houses or their trap houses to cook pies and shit like that. It's men. It's men who have disappointed us for centuries. Centuries. This has been a patriarchal society since forever. Okay? Forever. Siempre, mi amor. Siempre. And look at the caca. Look at the piece of shit that this society is today. What is the common denominator? When you look through history, what has remained the same? I can tell you, men have been the quote unquote dominant gender. Men. When you look at the start and fall of every dynasty, every nation, what is the common denominator? Men. Y'all need to get it together, okay? Y'all need to get it together because we know that men in homosexual relationships do not do very well. So unless y'all all want to be homosexuals, if y'all want to completely turn women off and have our society really become the kind of society where women do not even have children anymore with men, and women are over there trying to raise their children by themselves, then y'all have to make some changes. We all have to make some changes, but this is specifically about the men. I'll do one for the women another time. But I will say thank you so much for listening. If you would like to, then yeah, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Which issue do you think is the most apparent or the most prominent as far as you can see? Pero sí, otra vez, thank you so much for listening. Tata, mi amores, take care.